All right, so we're going to go over the 5-a-day quiz for Algebra 1. Number 1, you had to solve by elimination, so I want to make it so that at least one of my coefficients is the opposite of the other. So if I look at this, I notice that if I multiply this bottom one by -3, then I'm going to have a negative 12x, and my x's will drop out. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the first one, 12x plus 18y equals -54. Then I'm going to multiply by -3. I get negative 12x minus 18y equals positive 54. So when I add them together, everything cancels out, and I'm just left with 0 equals 0. Well, whenever that happens, that means it's the same line, which means it's touching an infinite number of times. So the solution would be infinitely many solutions. Number 2, we had to graph the inequality. So first I want to get it into y equals mx plus b form, so I'm going to subtract the 7x from both sides. And then I get y is greater than negative 7x minus 2. So I'm going to start at the -2 on the y-axis, and then I need to go down 7 to the right 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and over 1. And then you can also do the opposite, going backwards 1 and then up 7. And we get a point there. And then you just draw the line between the points. Oh, wait a minute though. That's an inequality, so I need to have a dotted line because it's not greater than or equal to. All right, so it's greater than, so that means I want to shade the side where the y's are getting bigger, and that would be this side of the graph here. Also, if I test the point 0, 0 in it, 0 is greater than -2, and 0, 0 is on the right side of the graph. So I know I have shaded the correct part. All right, number 3, we have to write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, which is rise over run, and b is the y-intercept. So in this case, I can figure out my slope. I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is -4/5, and then it's crossing the y-axis at -3, so my y-intercept is -3. So the equation for that line is y equals -4/5 x minus 3. Number 4, we're going to solve by graphing. So first I will graph y equals 1/2 x minus 4. So I start at -4 on the y-axis. And then I'm going to go up 1 over 2 for my slope. 2. So that's that line. Then for the other one, I'm going to start at -2 on the y-axis. But this one has a slope of -1/2, so I go down 1 to the right 2, and so on. So I see that they cross at the point 2, -3, but I want to make sure that that works, so I'm going to plug it into both of them. So -3 equals 1/2 times 2 minus 4. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 minus 4 is -3, so that one works. And then if I plug it in this second equation here, -3 equals -1/2 times 2 minus 2, and I get negative 1 minus 2. So again, I get negative 3 equals negative 3. So I know I did it correctly, and the answer is 2, negative 3. For number 5, we had to graph the system of inequalities. So again, I want to get it into y equals mx plus b form before I do the graphing. So for the first one, I've got x minus 3y is less than or equal to 6. So if I subtract the x from both sides, I get negative 3y is less than or equal to negative x plus 6. Then I divide everything by negative 3. So I have to remember to flip the sign around. And I get y is greater than 1/3 x minus 2. So that's my first inequality. So let's see here. Negative 2 on the y-axis, up 1 over 3. And that one is going to be a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. And I'm just going to make a note to myself, since it's greater than, I would be shading it in that direction. All right, now I need to get the second equation into slope-intercept form. So I've got 4x plus 3y is greater than 9. So if I subtract the 4x, I get 3y is greater than negative 4x plus 9, and then divide everything by 3. And so I get y is greater than negative 4/3 x plus 3. So I go to positive 3 on my y-axis, and I'm going to go down 4 and over 3. Down 4 and over 3. All right, so this one is just greater than, so it needs to be a dotted line because it can't equal the line. The line is not part of the solution. And it's greater than, so it would be above the line or where the y's are getting larger. So I can see that where they're going to overlap would be up here in the upper right hand corner. And so that's the area that's the solution to the inequalities, the system of inequalities.